All right. So it looks like Irvin's first with Black Friday deals. This is good because I know nothing about shopping.
Well, this is all in our realm.
Yeah.
Some Hacker Essential stickers and some tools that are discounted and books. The one that I'm looking at is the No Starch Press stuff.
We have a lot of specials there. But of
They
course, their
do.
stuff is very good. They're
Yeah.
actually very good to the authors too. I've been approached a couple times to write a book. If I was ever going to write a book, I'd probably publish it through them.
Yeah, so here's just a small list of some Black Friday deals that are going on.
Nessus Pro, WP Scan.
Yep.
Oh, this is actually pretty little snitch.
Yeah, there's also some hardware stuff at the bottom. But just some stuff for people to, if they're looking what to buy and they have no idea, maybe one of these might pique their interest.
What's AWAE? Amazon?
No,
No.
that's one of the offensive security.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering what AWAE, Advanced Web Attacks and Exploitation. Ooh, that might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Got some Proton Mail, got some F-Secure.
This is good stuff. I normally couldn't care less about buying stuff, but this is the stuff I might buy.
Yeah, there's ISACA.
Wow.
There's quite some stuff.
This is a really good list.
Sadly, there is no Shodan deal this year.
Oh, okay.
Normally, they do their membership for $1 on Black Friday, but they're not doing that this year. I haven't found out why.
Wow. Pelican Cases, Seed Studio. Wow. Ooh, this is pretty nice list. Okay. I'm glad you put that up.
Yep.
All right. And then Image Magic again.
Again, yes. So this time with PDFs. Whoever designed PDFs, they must have had people working from Adobe on it, because it is the most convoluted format I've ever seen. And apparently you can do these weird encryption things with the PDFs, and ImageMagick doesn't know how to properly handle it. And you can eventually get code execution using these PDF files. So once again, yeah, poor ImageMagick.
A bunch of defenses, and yet there's one place where they forgot to filter out the apostrophe or something.
Yeah.
That's the problem with whitelisting. It's you somewhere you're going to forget. But ImageMagick used to be popular. Apparently, it is so valuable; it's worth putting up with all this. And the part that really impressed me is they actually fixed it in like a week.
Yeah.
So they're not messing around over there. Apparently, they took it to heart when they got really humiliated a few years ago with Image Tragic, and now they're seriously rushing out patches. So you can't really ask for more than that, I guess.
I mean, it's a useful piece of software, but it just always seems to have some, not just minor issues, but some very major exploits. But it in part has to do with the fact that these image formats are just way too complicated for what they really should be.
Yeah.
Like Windows.
Like XKCD, where there's like 14 incompatible standards, and he makes a new one, and now there's 15 incompatible standards.
Yep.
Yeah. So Coinbase is, Coinbase is the best cryptocurrency exchange, which is like the best crook in the Mos Eisley bar. And so they're going to suspend all margin trading a couple of days ago, which is investing by borrowing money to invest more, which is, how we caused the 1929 stock market crash. But it was really popular. And they said because the government made them do it, which really didn't make any sense. And when you read what David Gerard said, he says, he says they did, there's some kind of requirement. See, margin trading is supposed to be for commodities, like you buy oil or wheat or something, soybeans. And so you buy a certificate for privilege of buying soybeans in a month at whatever price is there, and you pay for it, but you never actually get the soybeans because you don't actually want the soybeans. You're just speculating to make money. But there's some law that in principle, they must actually have the soybeans and actually have to deliver the soybeans if you hold on to it. And so cryptocurrency people have to prove that they can physically deliver the cryptocurrency in case you don't move them. And what does that mean? How do you actually deliver the cryptocurrency? And so anyway, they decided that was too hard. But another thing that came out is all of the transactions take place off the blockchain, of course, because the blockchain can't handle the traffic of margin trading or anything else, of course. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum can't handle enough traffic to actually do any commercial business. So they had to make their own database off the blockchain to do it. But anyway, for some reason they quit. The explanations of why this was illegal and why it was too difficult are very unclear. They just say for technological and practical reasons. Anyway, so they got rid of that. And the other thing Coinbase did about a month ago is they said, we're going to not allow any politics in the workplace. And everybody can resign now if they want to like ever talk about politics again. So apparently they wanted to be like hard right wing and they didn't want to hear any liberals or something, but it's not really clear. But now it's becoming more clear that it was about Black Lives Matter, because now they have a preemptive press release. This Sunday, the New York Times is going to have a huge negative story about Black people being abused at Coinbase. So this is their attempt to ward off that criticism by saying, oh, you know, it's all just fake news. They're just picking on us. And, you know, anyway, so Coinbase does seem to be having some serious internal turmoil of a political nature and also legal nature. I mean, the other thing that came out last week, I think was on here, they sent out 1099s to all the investors, which were misinterpreted to make them fall, the IRS has interpreted that to mean they all owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, which they don't. So, you know, I think Coinbase is going through a hard time here. But, you know, there's no other choice. All the other cryptocurrency exchanges are 10 times worse. Anyway, the cryptocurrency is, the bloom is off the rose for sure. I mean, it's not so great, but now it's back to a peak again, 20,000 bucks a Bitcoin. So probably a bunch of people are going to jump in, and then they're going to be very surprised when they can't really cash out and their exchange is kind of crazy and lying to them and stuff. Anyway, the joy of Coinbase. So did you get Suricata running on your Raspberry Pi?
I haven't, but these instructions are pretty easy to follow if for anybody who wants to run Suricata on their Pi.
Doesn't it have like an apt get? I'm surprised it's not already compiled.
I don't think it's compiled for ARM.
Ah, oh, well, everything should be compiled for ARM. ARM is the common thing.
Yeah, I don't think everything is though yet.
Ah,
But I'm pretty sure that you're right for anything Intel based, that you could just apt-get and get it. But yeah, for this, I think you still have to compile it.
I've seen a lot of people arguing about whether to put Windows on the ARM Macs now, but the Windows insiders are saying, oh, just shut up with that. We're not going to do that. But I don't know. How long could they resist?
All right. No, I think they'll have to follow in suit too, eventually.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, that would be good. And now we got, oh yeah, I remember they accidentally found the vaults.
Yeah, so the developer of some software that I use sometimes for finding ways to escalate privileges on Windows called Privesk Check was looking for registry keys that could, you know, help gain privileges on Windows. And the author released this tool, and it turns out that all versions of Windows 7 have this issue. So the developer accidentally found a 0-day and released it to the public.
Yep.
in the security tool. So good job.
This happened to me at the first San Francisco Bay Threat conference. I was there and I had the new iPad, the iPad mini. And this guy said, I've got this commercial phone scanner. I said, let's try it. So he scanned the iPad mini, found a 0-day in Bluetooth. And I was just putting on Twitter. He said, oh no, you can't tell anybody you found it. And I'm like, dude, we can't tell anybody we found it. He said, yeah, I got to talk to my boss and we don't want to insult Bill Gates or anything. I'm like, Steve Jobs. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like, oops.
But I noticed they do have the patch, the micro patch from this company that does this, the Zero Patch.
Right.
I've been hearing more and more about them. These people have unofficial Microsoft patches, which sounds kind of insane, but I guess it's the thing to do. All right, and so I thought this was pretty interesting. We had killed Soleimani a while ago, and yet we haven't had any apparent blowback from that. But this is because they attacked the botnet in order to stop voting fraud. You know, they took down the botnet about a month ago with temporary attacks to take down some of the servers, knowing they wouldn't get them all. But that offended the criminals. So the criminals punished us by hacking a hospital, and they haven't even asked for ransom. They're just doing it purely for destructive reasons to punish us for daring to take down the TrickBot botnet. And this has happened before. The criminals are like nation states, and when they get offended, they take revenge on you. There was a spam engine where they put up an anti-spam solution and they hacked everybody and punished them, saying you have to take down your anti-spam solution or we will send people to kill you at your homes or something. It's so the criminal organizations are effectively nation states to negotiate with these days. And anyway, that's the point. And so these guys, I've never heard of this being true before. A hospital administrator said, well, it was ransomware. But then someone said, the FBI has asked us not to tell anybody anything about it. We cannot even confirm it's ransomware. We can't confirm anything. So apparently the FBI is going to supposedly do something about it and has told them not to talk about it, which is very strange. But it's turned on all the hospital services for like a month. People are not getting their chemotherapy that need it. They can't access the patient records. I mean, it's really pretty serious. And anyway, we'll see what comes of this. But I think it's interesting in the threat attribution model. This is like why I've been getting more involved with the attack framework and everything. It is kind of important to understand who the attackers are these days and how to deal with them. It used to be, who cares who's attacking you, just get a firewall rule and block it technically. But these days, the political negotiation is a big part of defense. Anyway. Then we got Sidewalk. Yeah, I've been hearing about this.
Yeah, so in the US, your Amazon stuff, like your rings, automatically connect out so that if law enforcement needs to do any recon, they just use it without asking you for permission. So they accidentally sent out Amazon accidentally sent out an email to their UK people saying, oh, it's part of it, and they freaked out because it was supposed to just be for the US. But kind of hey folks, your Amazon stuff is being used separately and you have no power to stop it. There is no way to opt in or out right now.
Well, this one, that's different. The one I read, this wasn't about the cops. This was about other people using your network for a mesh network.
This isn't the mesh network thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But interesting that it has another way out.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what you do.
Yeah, this does look like it's a mesh network one.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, yeah.
For sure, I read that.
Portion of internet bandwidth for the service. And yeah, and so therefore some of your bandwidth is being used for other people's traffic, which is the same thing like Comcast has this network, second network in your router for other people.
Yeah, that's true.
And a bunch of people were freaking out saying that's unsafe, although it might not be unsafe. Anyway.
It might not be, but with these devices that are everywhere,
yeah,
interesting that there's no way to opt out.
Yeah, there certainly should be a way to opt out. The one I saw in the US said, you should all opt out because this is too unsafe. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I saw last week was when the Amazon servers went down, a whole bunch of home devices quit working. People said their Roombas don't work anymore, their doorbells don't work anymore. A bunch of things need the cloud just to run normally, which is kind of stupid, you know?
Just a little bit.
I would think they should be able to at least do the normal things without the cloud connection.
Apparently, that's just how reliant they are to the cloud.
Yeah, just logically, there's no need to design them that way. They should just like phone home once a week for updates or something.
Mm-hmm. I swear, SaaS is an addiction for developers.
Software as a service?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. But you ought to think about what if there's no cloud?
Yeah, no, it's like, why should we implement this ourselves when we can just get it out quicker using software as a service? And then when the internet breaks, all of a sudden, but it's an addiction, it just makes things so much easier. Just go straight to it.
Well, I mean, if it actually makes it cheaper, then I might go for it on the grounds that the cloud isn't down that often. I mean, the question is, if you could really knock like $10 off the price by putting functionality in the cloud, then that would probably be a pretty good decision for business point of view.
I don't think it knocks $10 off the price, but it does make it quicker and easier to develop when you don't try to integrate the software into your own product. You just use someone else's service and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that might make it worth doing. If you can hit the market sooner, that's like having a cheaper product. That'll make more money. Anyway, so Comcast, I heard this.
So they got okay. So more context. Before we get into the article, Comcast recently is adding more data caps and fees. So on landlines, mind you. This is not, you know, cellular telephone where things might be limited and you have to deal with too many users at once. There is no problem with their network that requires any sort of, you know, usage limits, except they really want to extract more money from their customers. You know, they're very gung-ho capitalists in that sense. And it's important to remember that not only do they have a monopoly, the internet is an essential tool, and they have been given millions, almost $1 billion worth of US taxpayer money to maintain their Comcast network for people. And they're still, you know, going through and doing monopolistic moves like this, you know, trying to add data caps that aren't necessary, just to get more money out of people. And if you think like, oh, well, you know, this is just a consequence of, you know, the Trump administration and Ajit Pai and all these people trying to deregulate the market. Well, I have bad news for you, because Biden also has close ties with Comcast. So, you know, the Biden administration isn't going to do anything about this either. I mean, they're both sort of in the pocket of these big businesses. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was the big thing of Bernie and stuff, is that you need $1 billion to become president. So both of them have to be totally sold out to people driving them. Mm-hmm. If you try to run without big corporate donations, you don't have a chance. And that's like very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder, I saw this may be just on a lower scale, 1.2 terabytes of data per month. I wonder if that's enough. I wonder how
probably not. I will tell you right now that you can download a single game on Steam for 500 gigabytes. So if you download 2 games on Steam, you're done for the month.
Gigs? Yep, you heard that right.
How can there even be storage for 5? I mean, I've only got like 1 or 2 terabytes of storage. How can a game be 500 gigs? Like what?
Or maybe I'm thinking, well, yeah, no.
No, you're right, Kaitlyn. Games are big now.
They're really big. You can, plus then there's of course the streaming of the games, and you have like 4K TV streaming, which is another thing I think they're trying to curb. I think they're trying to curb 4K TV because of course Comcast is a cable company, and they don't want people getting their TV elsewhere. So they want to, you know, so there's a lot of ways you can definitely get up to 4, you know, over a terabyte of data a month.
Man, well, that's not good. Okay.
And of course, the people who are going to use that much are the power users who, you know, they're more reliant on the internet than the rest of us. So of course they're trying to extract more money.
Well, I've got Comcast, but I could ditch it and get AT&T fiber, and maybe
I don't think AT&T is that much better. I jumped ship from AT&T myself.
I could get Sonic.
Sonic, yeah, Sonic is good. Sonic you would like. Sonic is local for people on the internet who don't know what we're talking about. Sonic is a local ISP.
Yeah.
They were developed by a community college nearby and just kind of grew out of there. So they're local and they're good, and they're not going to impose data caps. But these big corporations like AT&T, Comcast, and I'm bet in a few years Starlink is just going to try to squeeze as much money out of people as possible.
Yeah, well, maybe I should switch to Sonic. Anyway.
Yeah. Slower, but you know, you don't have to deal with this.
It's slower. Oh, that's not fun. But I don't really care. I mean, the Comcast is a 200, except when it slows down to 1 at random. So I thought this is pretty interesting. Stuff about the coronavirus. This one sounds like fun. They want to make a smoke detector for the virus that sniffs the air to tell you if there's dangerous virus in there. They're developing it in Korea. And that sounds pretty awesome. You could have like an internal weather report of how much virus there is. They haven't got this for sale yet, but they're developing it. So that's one possible way to deal with it. And then they got this thing. This robot goes around and zaps everything with UV light. So in 2 minutes, it sterilizes everything, but it doesn't sterilize the air. And of course, therefore they admit that this in fact won't do anything about coronavirus, because you do not get coronavirus from touching things. You get it from breathing, and this just cleans the surfaces. So they say airports might do it anyway, though, because it's security theater. It'll make people feel like you've done something, like those temperature scans, which also don't protect you, but they make customers feel like you protected them.
So if the light is on top, why does it not clean up the air?
Well, it's a good question. I think the point is it might clean the air right around it, but then new air blows in. What you'd have to do is stick this like in the duct cleaning all the air that goes by in the air conditioning system. And I haven't heard of that, but that seems like an obvious winner to me.
That those systems absolutely do exist.
I've heard of ones with filters, like basically an N95 filter in the air duct.
Yeah, no, you can definitely get UVC in the air ducts. That's definitely a thing that exists. And I would imagine the airports probably already use that. But yep. I wouldn't know.
They ought to. Yeah. And then this one here, I saw they say face masks, when you put them on like a hamster in the lab, they stop viruses, but when you actually put them in the community, they only seem to lower the spread by a few %, and they're trying to figure out why. And I could tell them why just from walking around. 2/3 of people use their face mask so incompetently that it's doing no good. I see it everywhere I go. People pull it off, it's on loose, it doesn't cover their nose or some damn thing. Obviously, when you ask them, did you wear a mask? Oh yeah, I wore a mask. They didn't really wear a mask. But anyway,
of course.
I wonder how effective bandanas are. I see those a lot.
I've seen studies that say they're not really much good at all.
Yeah.
But they're a little bit better than one. At least the ones that you just pull up from your neck. Those things are apparently not much better than nothing at all. I know you've got a really impressive setup.
Yeah. No, I mean, I go all out, but you know, I know that the bandanas are really popular for face masks. I'm just thinking those probably don't work very well.
But I mean, I highly recommend being careful. An enormous number of people are getting sick now. It's rising like crazy. And I hear a lot of reports of people saying, I stayed at home, I avoided everybody, and I still got sick. So it's pretty scary right now.
Yeah.
And anyway, I added some extra stuff because this one we talk about so awesome. And it happened. They made a thing to go clean up the space trash for like $100 million. They're sending up a satellite in 2025 to like bring down another satellite.
Mm-hmm.
Which is bloody awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, this is going to get expensive really quickly if we start sending up satellites just to take down satellites. But we got to do something about this.
Well, I'm thinking of a cheap way to do it. You know, couldn't you send up something with like a really small motor that just slows it down and makes it fall down and burn up? Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to send it up. You're still talking about tens of thousands of dollars per item, but.
Well, if it was me, I would just put a tax on all space missions that when you put something up, you have to also include some way to bring it down, and probably you have to bring down another one for every one you put up or something.
Yeah, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I would think so. And anyway, these projects you've been writing are awesome, and I wanted to stick them here. A lot of people have fun with these. So these are all the space projects that Kaitlyn's been writing, and I've been doing them. These are great. You get to practice setting up the software and understanding how this works. So there are going to be more and more of these coming. You said you're going to get up to a dozen or something, right?
Well, at least a dozen until we can start setting up a CTF for people to do at conferences.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no shortage of stuff I can go over. Right now, I'm still focusing on the basics that you would have to know before you start doing the fun stuff. So like the one we're looking at right now is the two-line elements.
Yeah.
And I don't go over initially why this is important, but by the end, you're taking two-line elements and figuring out where a satellite was years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now, you know, and so you just kind of.
Oh, this one was fun. Yeah. I mean, you put this data and then you run it through. Well, I was thinking the other one. This other one here was more clear where you see the graphs. This one. No, not, yeah. This one. Yeah.
Yeah. The phaser.
Where you see the graphs of the things. No, not this one. There's one where you see the graph of where the satellite is.
Oh yeah, no, that's the TLE at the bottom.
It was here. That's what I thought.
Yeah, at the bottom. So there's a lot you go over. Fun. Yeah, and you can see where the satellites are, and you can use this data to, you know, and that's one of the big things if you have control of the satellite, you oftentimes have to send commands like at, noon at 12:03 p.m. Turn sideways and then take a picture or something. But in order to figure out when you're supposed to do that, you have to go through this huge, introduction. So how TLE is. So hopefully by the time you get through this one, you're ready to go on to do a lot more interesting space hacking stuff.
Yeah. That's just great. And I'm building my antenna. I know you got yours. We start picking things up. This will be a really great thing. Very popular, I think.
Yeah. And like I said, Liz, who's not here today, is big into car hacking. Another friend of ours, Carla, is huge into doing boats. We need someone to do airplanes, and we need someone to do trains.
Absolutely, this is awesome.
And I think we'll have everything covered.
Well, then there's the whole world of IoT.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, yeah.
These are small teams.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of vehicles,
Yeah.
IoT hacking is another fun.
Well, I think this counts as IoT. Satellites are things.
Yeah, they're things. So in that same sense, hacking on Windows Server is still a thing too.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, all right. Any more comments?
No.
All right, I'll stop this one.